Hi, this is Nick Farrow with English Discovery, and we are continuing our lesson about yes-no questions. The focus is the simple tenses with sentences such as "It rained yesterday," or "Jim loves potatoes," or "They have two cats." Notice that the sentences here have no be verb or helping verbs. They are simple as sentences, but not when you want to make questions. Let's have a look. Again, let's start with the past tense. Read the following conversation between a teacher and his student in class on a Monday morning. First, pause the video to check the meaning. Be sure that you understand everything. Then read through again and find the yes-no questions. Here they are. You should notice that the first question has a helping verb, can. We already studied this pattern. Then the teacher asks 3 questions. Did you notice that they all begin with the same word? And the word is did. That's the do helping verb in the past tense. Let's move on to see how this works and how we can make these questions right every time. We will start with a regular, normal, simple past tense sentence. Notice the ed, which makes the verb past tense. Here is the question form, and you can see that the helping verb did comes from the ed of worked. This is the same as when we were building negative sentences. Here is another example with the same pattern. And now comes an irregular verb, eat. Be careful. Do not say, did she ate dinner? That would be a double past sentence, which is not natural. And finally, we have 2 examples with helping verbs that we have studied before. So now you can see that all these questions have the same pattern. So, if you take a simple past sentence that has no be verb and no helping verb, just add did before the subject of the sentence. Remember to cut the past form of the verb. Okay, now it's time to practice what we have studied. Here are 10 sentences. They are all in the past tense, but they don't have a be verb or helping verbs. Change them into yes-no questions. If you look at numbers 5, 6, 7, and 10, you will see that you need to use you or your to make it natural. It would be strange to say, did I study for the test? Right? The grammar is good, but it's not a meaningful question. Pause the video before I give the answers. And the answers are, did they watch a football game? Did the students walk to school yesterday? Did Kelly's pet die this morning? Did Meg go home by taxi? Did you study for the test? Did your father come home from Paris? Did your parents fly to Rio last weekend? Did their car crash into a truck? Did Adam finish his homework early? Did you finish your homework? Okay, now please correct these mistakes. Pause the video and I will give the answers. And here are your answers. Number 1, did she eat dinner? 2, did you go home last night? 3, did Mr. and Mrs. Hill buy a car? 4, did the students study for the test? 5, did you see him this morning? 6, did you have any money? 7, did they drive to work? Okay, moving on. If you can understand how to make questions in the past, then it should be okay to make questions in the present tense too. In the next slide, the teacher continues his conversation with the student, Maddie. First, read it to understand the meaning, and then look for the yes/no questions. Of course, you will need to pause the video again. Did you catch the meaning? And did you find the yes/no questions? Here they are. The first question is not really a grammatical question, but it has that meaning. Maybe it means, do you really like J-pops? Now, what is the helping verb that has been added to make these questions? Again, it's the do helping verb. This is the same as the don't from the teacher in the negative form that we studied. I don't like J-pops. Notice 2 points. 1, at the end of the conversation, the teacher uses does for the other person, the student's brother. Second point, the student also gives short answers using the same do helping verb. And does also matches the form the teacher used at the end. Let's look at how this works, starting with an example in the past tense that we already studied. Now, when we change the first sentence from the past tense to the present tense, the question form changes from using did to using do. That's it. It's the same pattern. The problem is that in the simple present tense, there's no helping verb. So, in the case of no be verb and no helping verb, we need to add the do helping verb. Here are some more examples with the same pattern. Be careful with the last example. Have they a car is almost never used in modern English. And now, some examples of questions we already learned. And this shows that the pattern is still the same. Here comes one more problem. If we are talking about another person, that's one other person, not you, not I, not they, not we, then there is an S or an ES on the end of the verbs in the present tense. When we make a question, this S goes on the end of the do helping verb. And don't say, does she washes? The same pattern happens for have, which now becomes has. Change it in the same way. Here's one more example. And do always becomes does with ES. Still awake? Very good. Let's keep going. Let's do some practice making yes-no questions from regular sentences. As always, pause the video until you've made all the changes. And here are the answers. Please repeat them after I say them. Do they love me? Do you love me? Does she love me? Does Mr. Black have a dog? Do you have time to talk? Does Kevin go to school by bus? Does the sun rise in the east? Do Bill and Ben live in England? Do you have a headache? Does the man we saw yesterday live under a bridge? And now let's correct mistakes made in the present tense. Pause the video and fix the mistakes. Here are the answers. Do you live near here? Does Ms. Gardner like Chinese food? Does he like pop music? Do you have a pen? Do they study every day? Does he drink a lot? Do your brothers like dogs? Does this train go to New York? The next slide has more practice. It's a little more difficult because there are various types of mistakes. And you can see that there are some cases where two answers are possible. Your main target is to make the simple tense using the do helping verb. After you finish, listen to the answers and repeat with me. Number 1. Were you happy yesterday? Number 2. Do they work here? 3. Can he swim? 4. Can you swim? 5. Did he go home? 6. Do you like natto? 7. Did you see my friend? 8. Do they watch TV? 9. Will he go home? 10. Will he come today? The other possible answers I'll tell you right now. Number 2, are they working here? It could be in the present progressive tense. Number 5 could be past progressive. Was he going home? Number 8 could be present progressive. Are they watching TV? And number 10 could be, is he coming today? Using present progressive for a purpose or future activity. And even, does he come today? But that's very, very formal, not normal for daily conversation. Let's move on. Okay, just quickly look at these. And you will see that the answers always use the same helping verb as the questions. That's the short and most natural answer in every case. For example, the answer to does Mary like Kelly could be, yes, Maria likes Kelly. That's correct, but it's long and not very natural. Also, be careful when you answer a question like, do you like ice cream? You cannot give a short answer, yes, I like. It's not natural. This slide shows some examples where a simple grammatically correct answer is not so good socially. Look at the first example. The answer, no, I can't, is grammatically correct, but it's a very cold and unfriendly answer. This one is much more polite. And with the second example, no, I didn't, is correct, but not very friendly. What would you say? Well, you might say, no, I didn't, I came by taxi. That probably answers the question better. And do you have a pen? Yes, I do is not a very useful answer. this question is actually a request, meaning, if you have a pen, may I borrow it? You would probably answer, sure, here you are, or sorry, I don't. How about this one? First, think about the real meaning of the question. It probably means that the speaker would like to meet you, or something like that. There are many possible answers. For example, not really, why? Now, in fact, you answered one question with another question. And maybe that person will then say, well, let's go out together. And one more example. Again, yes or no is not a socially appropriate answer. Why? Because, again, this is a request, not an information question. Answering, yes I can, or yes I could, is just rude. So don't forget, it's important to understand the real meaning of questions. Then your communication power will be much better. That's the end of this lesson. I hope you learned a lot. Please look out for the WH question lessons to complete this series. And if you like the lessons, please like this video and subscribe.